So Edson Barboza and his team have recently announced that they want to make a move down to 145 pounds. To be honest with you guys, never understand this move in a fighter's career and then moving down in weight until I saw Aldo versus Moraes. And I saw how the bigger man, who handled the weight cut like a professional, went in there and just bullied around the number one contender. Edson Barboza moving down in weight might not be such a bad idea. And I'll tell you why. I'm usually not a fan of people moving down in weight. I'm not a fan of that whatsoever. I don't see the point in doing it. I feel like if anything with age, you should be moving up in weight, not down. I never understand. If you go down in weight, there's also less money generally as well. There's less notice. I guess 45 pounds a division where Edson Barboza is looking at it and seeing that there's a lot of popularity there right now. There's a lot of movement with the division. There's a new champion. There's a lot of turnover. A lot of new contenders. Wants to put himself right in the mix. I get it in Edson Barboza's case. If this was anyone else, like let's say that Woodley was done with welterweight, wants to make a cut to 155, I'd hate it. I really would. Let's say Maia wanted to make a move back. Not Maia. Rafael dos Anjos wanted to make a move down to 155. You know, I wouldn't really understand it. Let's say Darren Till wanted to go back to 170. I'd hate it. But for Edson Barboza, it might not be a bad thing, because when you look at his division right now, what forward progress can be made? You've lost to the champion in absolute dominant performance from Khabib Nurmagomedov. Just completely dominated him, wasn't even competitive. You've lost to the champion. You've lost to the guy who's number one contender and is going to be fighting the champion soon in Tony Ferguson. Okay, you've lost to Justin Gaethje, who's number 3 in the division. You've lost to Donald Cerrone, who's number 5 in the division. Even though I thought he won, he's lost to Paul Felder, number 6 in the division. He beat Dan Hooker, number 7, but lost to Kevin Lee, number 8. So to get back up there, to the very top of the division, where I'm supposing he wants to be, is very tough to earn those rematches without doing a huge amount of work against guys who are ranked below you first, because he's lost so many in a row against some of the guys that he's going to have to go through to get back to a title shot, and that's just a fact. I don't see where he would go at 155. I don't see a route to success for him. So I'm actually okay with him going down to 145. He's not the biggest 155er. Now, I'll be honest, if fucking Paul Felder says he's making a move to 45, trust me, I'm throwing myself out a window, because that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. But Edson Barboza, not the biggest 155er. There's no way of him quickly getting back to the very top of the division. If he goes to 145, he has some name value, which I believe could carry him over, and I can see a perfect 2 fights for him to make his debut in 2 guys that are coming off 2 losses in a row, Renato Moicano and Jeremy Stephens. I feel like those are the fights that he's going to be definitely looking at, but if not, maybe a Calvin Kattar fight, maybe if Masad Bektik loses again, maybe Shane Burgos wants to welcome into the division. But to be honest with you, as a 45er, why would you take this fight? I don't understand. I don't understand why any 45er in their right mind would go to themselves, I want that Edson Barboza fight. He's a big name, yes. That's the only thing I can see, is the name value. Because you're fighting a guy who has no stakes in your division. He has no position in your division. So if you lose to him, you look shit. And if you win to him, you know, you beat a guy who's coming down from another weight class, who holds no ranking position. You don't move anywhere in the rankings. Maybe you get a little bit of notoriety. Maybe you get a little bit of fame. I don't see what there is to gain from some of these 45ers taking on Edson Barboza. So, the only thing I think would make some sense is if he was to face a loser. Someone coming off a bunch of losses. Jeremy Stephens, Renato Moicano. I know Moicano said he wants to go up to 155. So maybe Jeremy Stephens would be the perfect man. Maybe that would be the case. Who knows? Jeremy Stephens, Edson Barboza. Sign me up. That's the co-main event of any fight night I know. Get that going right now. Jeremy Stephens, Edson Barboza. Makes a lot of sense to me. And if Jeremy Stephens doesn't want to take that fight and someone else does, call Shane Burgos. Call Ryan Hall. He's looking for an opponent. No one in the rankings wants to fight him. Maybe Edson Barboza will try his luck. I don't mind Barboza as a 45er. I feel like he could do very well. I know the wrestling has always been his downfall, and the fact that people have been able to pressure him and come forward against him and be the bigger opponent has always been to his deficit. So maybe move down to 45 will eliminate all of those problems. He'll be the guy going forward. No one's going to be big enough to pressure him. And maybe no one's going to be big enough to completely ragdoll him, especially with guys like Frankie Edgar leaving the division. I mean, here's how empty the division is. The best grappler is Zabit Magomedsharipov, who barely even grapples. He's the only one who ever uses it. Ortega doesn't shoot for takedowns. Holloway is never going to shoot for a takedown in his life. Volkanovski's probably the best grappler, and he started MMA about 6 years ago. You know? Craziness. Yair doesn't shoot for takedowns. Edgar's moving down to bantamweight. Renato Moicano's a striker. Stevens striker. Aldo striker. Josh Emmett has a wrestling background, but just throws fucking bombs on the feet. Calvin Kattar striker. Shane Burgo striker. Masad Bektik does a bit of everything. Ryan Hall. Like, in the top 10, they're all strikers. And if you're striking with Edson Barboza, you're going to run into some fucking issues. So I don't mind this move for him. I really don't. I just don't see who's the guy who's going to take him on other than Jeremy Stevens, who's coming off 2 losses in a row and doesn't really have a lot of negotiating power. Maybe that's the fight to happen. Edson Barboza, Jeremy Stevens, co-main event or main event of co-main event of UFC Brasilia. Sounds good to me. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button there. Goodbye.